Good evening, our esteemed viewers, and thank you for joining us for this show. This is the National Economics Indaba Build-Up Show. My name is Nakiwe Simpungwe, your host. I'm very excited today that we have in studio with us somebody who is extremely competent on economic issues, who's going to help us understand what the economy is about. I would also like to welcome all those that are joining us via our social media platforms on Millennium TV, Millennium Radio, as well as the National Economic Indaba Facebook page. Doc, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Nakiwa, and thank you for inviting us.
Indeed, who else better for us to invite on such a show than yourself? You are the Economics Association of Zambia president, and we are talking all things to do with the economy. So, Doc, of recent, wherever I go, I hear people talking about the economy. Whether it is in the markets, it's in the bus stops, it's in the, even in the bars, in the compounds, in homes, not only parents, but even children are all talking about the economy. But then one wonders, what exactly is the economy? And this is where I would like you to pick it up from, because, let's start at the very beginning. It's always a good place to start. What is the economy?
Thank you so much for that brilliant question. And it's very important for viewers to understand what the economy is. So the economy consists of so many things. It's a system of production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services that are produced in an economy in a particular period of time. So period of time could be a year. Normally we use a year. Okay. That's why we call for 1 year, 1 year's production, distribution, and consumption. Mm-hmm. So you need an economy that is productive, an economy that is able to distribute resources, and an economy that is able to consume the resources. So this then constitutes the components of what an economy is. It's like an engine, an engine in a motor vehicle. Mm-hmm. So when one of these components is not working properly, then the engine or the motor vehicle will not move. Mm-hmm. In this case, the motor vehicle is the country. Then the engine is the economy. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, if you look at production, this is where you need to make sure that you are producing whether raw materials and finished products. So these will constitute part of the production process. So you need to produce. Mm-hmm. Then distribution, once you produce as an economy, you need to sit and say, how are we going to distribute whatever we have produced among individuals, businesses, and governments? So again, you see, during the distribution, you have individuals, businesses, and governments. During the production, you have individuals, businesses, and government. Mm-hmm. These are the three large sectors that will be doing the production, distribution, and also the consumption. And then once you do the consumption, you consume whatever has been produced, distributed, then everyone is better off. Everyone feels satisfied. Mm. Now, there are further components to the economy which a country needs to look at, which is the exchange issue. Mm-hmm. So for the exchange, you need to find ways of how you're going to trade the goods and services that you produced between the individuals, businesses and government. So how efficient are you going to exchange these goods? So that's why you now have currencies. Okay, so you have a currency that you can use to exchange the goods. You also have other means of exchanging goods and services. In the old days, they used to use what is known as a barter system. So there was that time the money was anything that someone would accept.
Okay.
And then besides the exchange, you will then have to have institutions. So institutions are very important because they determine the rules. Okay, they determine the regulations. They determine the health of organizations that govern economic activity. So you're talking about these institutions, you're talking about governments, you're talking about markets and financial systems. Okay, so these are institutions. Now, if you look at all these 5 things I've mentioned, they constitute an economy. That's why you are saying an economy is not growing. It's one of these, either production side, distribution, consumption, the exchange, system. Maybe the exchange rate system is not working properly. Then you look at these government institutions that develop these rules that are used to level the playing field in the economy are not also operating well. They are inefficient. So you find that the economy doesn't move properly. Somewhere there's something wrong. So besides knowing these components of the economy, then the viewers also need to know so what types of economies are in existence. There are so many types of economies. So you need then to decide what sort of economy that you need for your country. Do you need? There are several types of economies. I'll just mention a few. There is what is known as a market economy, or a market economy is it's more decentralized system. Okay, where production, distribution, exchange, consumption, and institutions are determined by the market forces. Okay, are determined by the market forces. So now, who are the market forces? The market forces is you and me. It's you and me. So we are the market forces. Okay, so individuals, institutions.
And how do we as individuals determine?
Yes, how do we determine? So we are the market forces. So you can have an economy which is market-based, or you can have an economy which is mixed. So it can have some markets at play. So individuals can have a say, and at the same time, government can also have a say, or the social, we call in economics, the social dictator, okay, can also have a play. So it's not everything that is market-based, but the social dictator can come in and dictate the way you want the economy to move. So that's a mixed economy, because then you have all these rulers that are there. They can decide, as long as you have agreed as a country that's the kind of economy that you need to work on. Then once you decide what type of an economy you want, then you need to look at what is it that you want, okay, from the economy. Okay, so you want your economy to be growing. That's why now people are complaining now that the economy is not growing the way we expect it to be. So you have to handle the issue of economic growth, Now, economic growth is basically the increase in the production of goods and services over a period of time. So if you started with X at 0.1 at the beginning of the period, then you end with Y at the end of the period. Y is bigger than X, then you say your economy has grown. Okay? So your economy, remember, consists of all those goods and services that you are producing, being produced by people, and also being exchanged in the market. And after exchanging, people are consuming. Consuming doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eat. Like, for instance, the cameras, is using the cameras, that's consumption. Okay, that's consumption. Consuming is not just eating, it's the usage of something. So you can use something by eating it or not eating it. Then after that, then you can look at now how would you tell that the economy is performing?
It's performing well.
Yeah. What are the indicators of economic performance? So then you look at for the country we are using at gross domestic product. Okay, that's what we use to measure. So gross domestic product, it basically means the total value of goods and services that are produced in an economy in a particular period of time.
Like a year?
Like a year, okay. Or if you want, the Zambia Statistical Agency, they can now compute GDP within a quarter.
Oh, okay.
So you can have data or statistics on a quarterly basis. Yeah. So a quarter becomes a period within which you are analyzing GDP. So basically that's I think a more complete understanding of what an economy is instead of just defining it or what it is. So you need to look at how are you growing the economy? What are the types of the economies that you need to choose as a country, and what will be the indicators? How do you measure that your economy is growing? And if you know how to measure that, then that will be a good indicator. You can also use inflation rate to indicate your economy, how your economy is performing. Okay. If the rate of change in general price level of goods and services, if prices are going up all the time, it means the economy is not doing well. Okay, because then there is a lot of demand for the goods, okay, but the supply is not there. So there's something wrong if you have to go back to the components of GDP, of the economy, and you look at which component do you have to adjust or fine tune so that it aligns or it helps to reduce the general price level in your economy. Unemployment, if there are a lot of people who are unemployed, who are looking for jobs, if people are looking for jobs but they can't find one, that's unemployment. But if you're looking for a job and you find it, then of course unemployment rate the unemployment rate will be lower, meaning there is more employment in that economy, because every time you want to change your job, you will find a job to change it. Okay. By the time that you want to change a job or you are not in employment and you are looking for a job and you can't find one, then you see that the economy is not doing it. It means you are not producing. So the production side. So the most important component of GDP is the starting point, the base. So what is the base of an economy? Is production. Okay? Because everything will then fall in its place. So you can have distribution channels, you can have consumption, exchange, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having succinctly defined the economy for us, and you've really said everything that we need to know there. Now, could you tell us about the institution that you helm, the EAZ? What is your scope of work and how does it tie into the economic landscape now of the nation? What exactly is your role as EAZ in the economic landscape?
Thank you so much for that. I think that will also help the viewers to understand what the association is all about. So this is a non-partisan institution.
Okay.
It's a professional institution of economists. Okay, they are the members. Mm-hmm. But we also allow non-economists to be members of the association. Those who want to associate themselves to economics, or probably they want to become economists in future, so they can join the association. So it was created as a Lusaka Economics Club in 1960. Okay. So you can see it's very old.
Yeah.
1960 as the Lusaka Economics Club, and then it started growing into an association after it was legislated up to date. And our role is to provide economic advisory services to government. And also to provide professional research outputs to the market or public institutions that want certain activities to be undertaken in the form of research, economic research. So the association then does that with the involvement of the members. So that's why the members will now start getting their benefits of paying for their membership fee, because then whenever the association has got these engagements, the members will then be requested to undertake some of these activities. And then the input into the system, into the advisory system, into the secretariat, and then we develop these policy briefs and policy advisory notes that then get into government on how to manage the economy. Because we've now defined the economy, we understand what it is.
Yes.
So our focus as a professional body is on how best to manage the Zambian economy. We are not interested in other economies, but we are interested in how we can manage our economy. So that's what the Economics Association of. So there are different types of memberships. Of course, that can be gotten from the website. You can visit the website, which is www.eaz.org.zm. Okay. I think that should be the association website. Or just go to Google and key in or type Economics Association of Zambia and press enter, and then it will give you the link to the website for the Economics Association of Zambia, and then you can navigate through there and you can see most of our activities and so on and so forth.
Okay, so you said you play an advisory role, to government. I would like to find out then at this point, is government receptive to your advice, and do they, adopt it at implementation stage? Would you say you are successful in that regard as an association?
What we can say is that I think since I became president of the Association of Zambia, government has always digressed and taken into account our professional advice. on where the economy is and in terms of where the economy is moving to and what needs to be done. Because when we advise, we don't just say this is bad, but we provide the solution, we provide the direction in which that should be done. And we've been getting positive advice, positive feedback from the government, and which is a good thing. What we need now is that the members are like still sleeping. Our members are like still sleeping because once you tell them that, let's do this, it's like it takes ages for our members to, come into the reality. Probably we are looking at the past, and that nothing can be done. But I'm speaking to the members now that there is goodwill coming from government, and that whatever you propose to the EAZ, and the EAZ looks at it, we have the board that will look at it, and then given to the president, myself, and then I'll communicate to government in terms of the direction that the economy should be going.
So Zambia's Vision 2030 is to become a prosperous middle-income nation. So are we close to achieving this target, especially that we are faced with huge challenges of climate change, which brings about floods this year and droughts the next? For instance, are we close to achieving this target? And how are we possibly going to achieve it because of the different dynamics that come about due to the, climate change?
Yeah, okay. So the vision for the country, first of all, is that we need to be a middle-income economy. Yeah. So the economy should reach that status of being called to be middle-income upper. So there is what is known as middle-income lower, middle-income, and middle-income upper. So if you are in the middle-income upper, you are now almost getting into an emerging economy, where you can now quickly industrialize, because your industrial structure base now at that level would be in such a way that it will be easier for you to transform your raw materials into outputs at a faster rate, meaning you would have achieved some high level of technology and production capabilities. So your industries will have excess capacity, and when they have excess capacity, it's easier to change from one production line to the other production line without necessarily struggling. So that makes you to be in that income category or income category. So again, coming back to what an economy is, the production, which is the base. So we need to produce. That's the first thing. For us to quickly reach that middle income status by 2030. Now, you also know that the population is growing.
Yes.
So we need to look at a growth rate that is large enough than the growth rate of population. So if production is growing very larger than the growth of the population, then you have that positive growth, and which means that every person in Zambia will be better off on a yearly basis. Now, if you look at the projections that were made when we were coming up with Vision 2030, the growth rates that were there, and you look at the growth rates that we've been achieving over time, you find that it will be a challenge to reach the targeted Vision 2030 status, because the growth rates are very low. By now, we should have been growing over 10% GDP growth rates. Okay, for us to reach middle income status. So you can see that if you are growing at 3%, 2%, sometimes even negative when we are hit by the COVID, the economy grew, decreased, not grew, decreased, and the growth rate was recorded in negative. So it's very difficult right now to achieve that, but you can see the efforts that the government is doing. I'm saying this from my professional basis, that efforts are being made to now start aligning the Vision 2030 to economic policy. And you've seen from the pronouncements that they want us to grow. For instance, the mining production should go up to 3 million tons a year. Okay, so from currently, when that pronouncement was made, we were maybe producing below even maybe below 1,000.
So is that extremely ambitious?
Below 100,000. Yeah, it's not ambitious.
It's achievable?
It is achievable because, what you need is to just consistently increase the production of your metals. Okay? You can increase the production of your metals. And once you increase the production of metals and you sell the metals, then that's income, isn't it? That's the income that is coming back to the country. So as long as money is coming back, it's being spread through the economy, and everyone is benefiting, taking part in the sharing of the cake. Then those spillovers will also eventually catch up with the people and also benefit the people. But this is just on paper, and we are yet to see what is going to happen in the future. But of course, our Vision 2030 was thrown out of the window. But it's never too late. We should be talking about maybe Vision
2035?
No, Vision 2040 or 2050.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is not very encouraging.
Vision 2050. Vision 2050. I think then we can reach the middle income status, upper middle income by 2050.
Wow. Okay. All right. So now, Doc, the private sector, is being talked about a whole lot that will bring about economic growth and economic recovery. How conducive is the environment for this to be actualized?
The private sector, the private sector is a bedrock of any economy. And the private sector needs to also to come out of its doldrums, especially in Zambia, because they've been sleeping. And they haven't been doing much in terms of capacity building, because if you want to produce, you need to focus on production, on production resources, not necessarily financial resources, but also human resources, because it's the human beings that will be doing the production. Yeah. So, first of all, government needs to put up policy and regulatory frameworks that will be supportive of the private sector businesses. So they would require business-friendly regulations, which is happening, of course. I think government is putting in place business-friendly regulations. Tax reforms, probably on the tax reforms, that's where government maybe is hasn't reached the optimal level of incentives, tax incentives, because you see that most of the industries are MSMEs. So they are small, medium and small enterprises, which constitute about 97%. So talking about maybe 3% of the industries in Zambia are large. So you see that the focus should be on the small and medium enterprises if you want to grow the economy. So to reach our vision 2030 status, we need to support these small and medium enterprises in terms of tax reforms. So there could be a discussion surrounding the tax reforms. You could you could have maybe a dual tax system where you have for MSMEs that are in the manufacturing sector, you can give them maybe concessionary VAT tax reforms, and then their products, instead of applying the VAT for their products, you apply maybe sales tax, which is lower than the VAT. So you have a dual tax system for only those products that are produced by small and medium enterprises, so that when sales tax is low on their products, it means their product will be more competitive. But because they are producing, then they should be able to access VAT refunds for their input tax. Because you want to make your small businesses to be very competitive, both locally and abroad. By competitive, we mean the prices of their products should be able to be highly competitive or cheaper on the international market. Then they will sell more. As they sell more, money comes back to the country. It's used in the country, and also it's also used for other production, also to stimulate production within the country. The government collects income taxes, more income tax, because then more money will be produced by these MSMEs, and government will make more on income tax, and so on and so forth. So for the MSME, I think we need to work more on how to incentivize their production, and also how to help them in terms of the distribution, whatever they are producing. Remember, the key components of the economy, distribution is one of them. So how are they going to distribute? Okay, as a nation, we need to have a model on how we distribute goods that are produced in the country. Then after that, consumption is not an issue, because there is local market and foreign market. So the demand, okay, supply always find its own demand. There is already demand there, given demand. And then also have to look at now the tax reforms is part of you remember I mentioned the institutions. Yes. Institutions, these are rules and laws. So institutions, you work on the institutions, and so that you incentivize these MSMEs, so that they become more productive and they become more efficient. Also, the issue of climate change now is very important, or sustainability, because they will be trading in a market which people are getting into that thinking or mood of supporting or having business dealings with institutions that are sustainable, or institutions that are properly managed or run in terms of environmentally friendly. Institutions should be environmentally friendly. Institutions should be socially friendly. Institutions should be properly governed on the principles of accountability and transparency. So these are the things that these MSMEs they need to take on board if they want to be sustainable. It's for their good. If they want to be sustainable in the long run, and to be also, once they produce, imagine if an institution is morally upright in terms of how it looks after its labor, okay, how it looks at the marginalized in society. So these are the key things that will determine the nature of that business. So is it morally upright? So even funds now, they are moving to those institutions that have adopted these kinds of principles. So institutions should adopt this, and then they should come out in the open and say, okay, we have adopted this, so that everyone knows that they have adopted this. That way, these institutions or these businesses will be more resilient, and they'll be more stable, and even whatever they will produce will be looked at as more sustainable. So they will got sustainable production means in the long run. And these are the institutions that can last for years and years to come.
Okay, so you've talked about, government putting in place, tax reforms so that they can help the MSMEs along. What about issues of, affordable financing? Because it is obvious that for these SMEs, just to access financing that they can use to, capitalize or recapitalize their businesses is very, very difficult. What, should be done for them to access this, affordable financing to keep them afloat?
Okay. Yes. First of all, the most important thing is the finance available. Okay. Is the finance available? And if it's available, at what price? At what price are they getting it at? So financing is one of the challenges that they are facing as MSMEs. The other one is the energy shortages, because they can't produce. You've seen a lot of small businesses that can, up to now, most of them, they cannot afford to have alternative sources of energy. So that has affected them in terms of adjusting. So for energy shortages, I think they have to look at other sources of energy. They should continue looking at other sources of energy so that they can continue being in business. Then in terms of financing, I think they have to adopt, as I said, they have to adopt these sustainable means of production. So if they are more sustainable, then they are likely to access capital that is cheaper on the market, because normally institutions that have come out and they have said that they will be environmentally friendly. They've committed themselves to social justice. and also they've committed themselves to accountability and transparency, then their cost of funding will be lowered. I think it's more lower because they will be accessing the credit lines at lower prices or lower interest rates. They can negotiate for their interest rates on their credit facilities. So financing is critical, but my take there is that they have to go sustainable in terms of their production means, and that way they can access these facilities that are currently available.
Great stuff, Doc. Now, there are some complaints here and there about there not being a level playing field, between local and foreign businesses. Now, are these genuine complaints? Because on one side, people will say that there isn't a level playing field, but other people argue that if the local businesses are given an opportunity, are given, for instance, tenders, they delay in executing, and they just don't put in as much energy as for instance a foreign company or enterprise would put in. So what is your take on the discussion around the level playing field between locals and foreign enterprises?
That's a difficult question to answer. Whether there should be discrimination between a foreign enterprise and a local enterprise. Because first of all, we need to be mindful of the existing international agreements that Zambia has signed, which require that the local businesses should be treated in the same way you treat the foreign businesses. So what should be done is to just improve the capacity. For me, it's the capacity of our local enterprises that is lacking. But I know local enterprises that are highly competitive and they don't even complain of being discriminated. Those that complain, the majority of the local enterprises that complain that there is more favoritism going to foreign firms, are those firms that they don't even have enough capacity in themselves, and therefore they are not being given those contracts. So the starting point is capacity. Okay, that's the people that you employ in these businesses. The people are the ones that are going to make your company different from the other companies. It's not yourselves, it's not the company, the name itself, it's the people, okay, the workers. That's what we've been taught in business schools. It's the workers. So employ people, make your workers more motivated. They can think for solutions and stuff like that. They can finish work on time. They will be committed to work. Those are some of the things that they should start working on instead of complaining that we are being discriminated against. So we at the Economics Association of Zambia, we feel that capacity building programs should be enhanced in especially in the ministry responsible for small and medium enterprises, so that they help these businesses to be capacitated and so that they can start competing favorably. So,
Doc, as we are coming to the end of the program, I would just like you to speak to the National Economic Indaba program that is slated for second quarter of this year. What exactly, is expected, and why is it important to have a program such as this?
Okay, so the expectation is that by the end of the Indaba, the economic Indaba, we should have a model, Okay, a model that will be based on the MSMEs in order to move the economy forward. So we need to do things around the MSMEs because they constitute 97% of all the businesses that we have in Zambia. And most important is one, the institutions, which I said institutions means maybe tax laws, okay, and other regulations that affect the small enterprises, so that we don't squeeze them too much and allow them to operate. Let these small institutions which have been hiding, which have been underground, operating underground, come out. So you provide incentives. For instance, you say, we are not going to pay income tax, okay? So remove income tax, then say, okay, if you use some inputs in the production, we'll give you refunds, so come and register. So they will go and register, okay? Imagine the 97%, or if all of them, they came out and registered with ZRA. So ZRA will then start monitoring the performance of the tax system through giving them these refunds. They will go and apply for a refund if they spend some money, okay, during their input production processes. And also, when they are selling, there will be some sales tax, okay, and ZRA will collect some sales tax. Now, sales tax will be at it won't be more than 16%. Sales tax is normally maybe around 4-5%, okay, on the product. So you institute a well-crafted tax policy for MSMEs. You also have a tax policy for large taxpayers. So we need a tax policy that has layers. Okay, so if you are in this layer, but it should also encourage institutions to be graduating. As they are growing, they are graduating to other layers. But by that time, you would have already captured them into your tax system. Okay? So it will be easier. So to start with, don't squeeze. We shouldn't be squeezing. Our tax policy should not be squeezing the image or the startups. So give them that leeway. Let them come out, and so that they are visible. The tax authority can see them, that they are there, they exist. And then later on, at a particular level of their growth, then they will be captured into another tax net. The second thing is finance, access to finance. Now, the problem with them not accessing finance is because they are deemed to be risky. So no one wants to give them financing. Or they are risky because they can default at any time. Their income level is not stable and stuff like that. So what needs to be done is government, of course, has come up with a credit guarantee scheme, okay? So there is a Zambia Credit Guarantee Company, which actually guarantees, if an SME wants to borrow, they will guarantee your loan. Okay. Yeah, they will guarantee your loan, and then to a particular percentage, that in case you defaulted, then government or that company, the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme, they pay whatever you've defaulted. So now we need more funding to that scheme. So because there are so many MSMEs that haven't come out, they don't even know about these things. So they need to come out so that they know that there exists this guarantee scheme. And also the government should now start finding ways of expanding the credit guarantee system. So that it's not only one company, they should also open up the space so that there are other credit guarantee schemes that should exist in the economy throughout the country, so that these small businesses can start accessing financing through that kind of system. Because you need financing to be productive, to be supported, and also to support innovation. So these institutions that are small, sometimes they're very innovative, and therefore there's need for a deliberate effort by government to help them to actualize. Because if you look at the Commonwealth University, for instance, I was told that they've got projects. Okay, they've made so many prototype, like on the electricity side of it. They've made, they've replicated some of these instruments.
Wow.
For electricity generation, they have replicated. Solar, they have replicated. But we are crying here, we just want to be importing solar panels. Maybe if you go to the Commonwealth University and look at the School of Engineering, Electrical Engineering, go to UNZA, look at the School of Electrical Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, School of Mines. They've got research outputs which are just gathering dust. So there is no government deliberate effort to support these institutions, so that, or to support these projects, so that someone can start making these things locally, like the way it has been done in Zimbabwe. You know, look at Zimbabwe; they are making electric vehicles and so on. You see, so the country can choose one thing and help that, see how it progresses. Another thing, how it progresses. Eventually, we'll start making our own things in Zambia, and we'll save our precious foreign exchange.
Great stuff, Doc. Time is something else. Just when you want to expand, and then we run out of time. But you have definitely, put everything that needs to be, talked about on issues of the economy into a great perspective. And we are very, very grateful that you took time off your very busy schedule, that you could come here to studio and just have this discussion, which would go a long way in benefiting our audience. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. So there you have viewers from across the globe joining us via our social media platforms, and those that are watching us on TV. We had in studio Dr. Mungule, who is the EAZ president, discussing all things to do with the economy. This show is in preparation for the National Economic Indaba that is slated for second quarter of this year. We hope that we were able to answer some of the pertinent questions that you've been having about issues to do with the economy. My name is Nakiwe Simpungwe, your host, and until Friday when we bring to you another guest, it is good evening from us.